Life doesn't always give you a warning before it hits you. One moment you're comfortable, thinking everything is under control, and the next moment you're dealing with something you never imagined. That's the part of life that shocks you, the way it can flip on you overnight and completely change your direction. Nobody is prepared for their hardest days, but those days show up anyway, demanding strength you don't think you have. You expect life to reward your effort. But some days it seems like life ignores everything you put in. You work hard, you pray, you sacrifice, yet the results don't show up the way you hoped. It feels unfair, almost personal, like life is singling you out. That's the part that makes people question themselves. They think they're doing something wrong because the struggle keeps returning. But the truth is, hard times don't visit you because you're weak. They visit you because you're being shaped into something stronger. The pressure you feel is not a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're developing. Growth rarely feels comfortable. Most of the time, it feels like you're being stretched beyond what you can hold, but that stretch is where new strength forms. Hard moments bring clarity too. They strip away illusions, distractions, and false expectations. They force you to face things you would normally ignore. They make you evaluate what matters, who matters, and what you truly believe about yourself and about God. Pain has a way of sharpening your vision in ways comfort never could. The truth is, no one escapes the hard parts of life. Everyone has a battle, a challenge, a moment that knocks the wind out of them. So you're not alone in this. It might feel isolating, but the struggle is universal. The difference lies not in who struggles, but in who keeps going. Some people crumble, others rise. And you rise every time you push through another tough season. Life is hard, but the hardness doesn't have to control you. You get to decide what you do with those heavy moments. You can let them break you, or you can let them build you into someone wiser, someone tougher, someone more aware of what you're capable of. Every painful moment holds a lesson if you choose to look for it. And even while life hits you with unexpected blows, something inside you keeps standing back up. That strength isn't accidental. It's proof that you have more resilience than you ever realized. Hard times are not the end. They're the beginning of a version of you that life can't intimidate anymore. There are moments in life when you feel completely abandoned, as if your prayers hit the ceiling and fall back down. You wait for answers, for breakthroughs, for something to shift, yet everything appears still. But God doesn't move according to your calendar. His silence doesn't mean he's absent. His timing is different because his perspective is bigger. Sometimes God waits until you're at the end of your strength before he steps in. Not because he wants to see you suffer, but because he wants you to see that his power is real. If blessings arrived instantly, you wouldn't need patience. If answers came quickly, you wouldn't learn faith. But when he shows up after you've been stretched to your limit, you understand the value of his timing. God often works behind the scenes in ways you don't notice. While you're worried, he's planning. While you're crying, he's aligning things. While you're overthinking, he's preparing the right opportunity, the right person, or the right shift. You don't see the work happening, but you will see the results when everything clicks into place. There is something powerful about the moment God shows up unexpectedly. It reminds you that you were never alone, even in the silence. It reminds you that what felt delayed wasn't denied, it was being perfected. Sometimes the blessing needed more time. Sometimes you needed more time. Sometimes the situation needed to mature before he released what you were praying for. It's easy to think God forgot you when nothing is happening. But he has a way of showing up at exactly the right moment, right when you're about to quit, right when you're out of ideas, right when you think nothing will change. That's his signature move, stepping in when the situation looks impossible. You don't have to force anything when God is in control. Doors open that you never touched. Solutions appear that you never considered. People show up who were never in your plan. That's how God moves when he wants you to see that the outcome had nothing to do with luck. It had everything to do with his will. So when life feels slow, when progress feels frozen, when silence feels heavy, don't assume God is absent. Assume He is near. Assume He is working. Assume He is preparing a moment that will make all the waiting make sense. A lot of people think if life is hard, they're doing something wrong. They think the presence of struggle means the absence of progress. But struggle is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of activity. It means you're moving, stretching, and stepping into territory that demands more from you. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has had to go through hardship to get there. No one rises without resistance. No one grows without discomfort. No one succeeds without challenges pushing them to evolve. So if you're struggling, it means you're right in the middle of transformation. Struggles expose your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. They reveal your fears so you can confront them. They humble your ego so you can develop wisdom. They push you away from what's easy so you can step into what's necessary. Everything you're fighting right now is preparing you for the next level of your life. You might feel like you're walking through something heavier than you should carry. But the weight isn't there to crush you, it's there to build you. You don't grow under light loads. You grow under pressure. Pressure creates strength, focus, and resilience. And those three things will carry you into blessings you wouldn't survive without development. When things go wrong, it's easy to assume God is punishing you or ignoring you. But sometimes struggle is the tool He uses to teach you discipline, patience, and trust. Sometimes the struggle is the only thing that can remove old habits, old relationships, and old mindsets that were blocking your growth. The struggle you're facing right now will become the strength you stand on later. One day you'll look back and realize that the season you hated became the season that changed everything. That difficulty will turn into wisdom. That pain will turn into perspective. That frustration will turn into motivation. So don't misinterpret what you're going through. You're not failing. You're developing. You're growing. You're becoming someone who can handle more, carry more, and achieve more. Struggle is the doorway to every blessing you're praying for. Pain is one of the most honest teachers you'll ever have. It doesn't sugarcoat anything, and it doesn't hold back. Pain shows you what needs healing, what needs changing, and what needs to be released. It forces you to confront parts of your life you would avoid if everything felt comfortable. When pain enters your life, it disrupts your routine. It shakes up your expectations. It challenges your emotions. But inside that discomfort is growth that comfort could never offer you. Pain sharpens you. It wakes up strength in you that you didn't even know existed. There are people who only discovered their purpose after walking through something painful. There are people who only found their strength because life forced them to face something they thought they couldn't survive. Pain pushes you beyond your limits, and in that push, you discover the depth of your resilience. Pain also teaches empathy. When you've been broken, you understand others who are breaking. When you've struggled, you recognize the struggle in someone else. Pain gives you compassion you wouldn't have developed in ease. It softens your heart while strengthening your spirit. And sometimes pain is a redirection. Sometimes the heartbreak, the rejection, or the loss is what pushes you towards something better. Pain closes doors you weren't meant to walk through. It removes people you weren't meant to stay connected to. It exposes situations that were never meant to define you. Pain forces growth that comfort never will. The moments that hurt you the most often become the moments that transform you the deepest. You become wiser, calmer, more grounded, and more intentional. Pain doesn't leave you empty, it leaves you evolved. And what feels like breaking is often reshaping. What feels like the end is usually the beginning of a new chapter you never would have stepped into without the push of discomfort. Life doesn't always show you fairness. Some seasons hit you so hard that you start questioning everything you ever believed. You wonder why certain things had to happen, why you had to lose something you cared about, why doors closed when you were ready to walk through them. But even in those moments, God's goodness doesn't change. His character is not defined by your circumstances. His goodness stays consistent even when life feels chaotic. It's easy to praise God when everything is going well, when the bills are paid, when relationships are stable, when your plans are unfolding the way you imagined. But real faith shows up when life stops making sense. Real faith shows up when you can't see the blessing yet, but you still believe it exists. And even in that confusion, God remains steady, holding pieces of your life together that you don't even realize are falling apart. What hurts you today might be the very thing that protects you tomorrow. Some of the hardest moments in your life were actually moments of divine protection. When God kept you from certain places, certain people, and certain situations, it wasn't rejection, it was mercy. You didn't see the danger, but He did, and His goodness was working even when you misunderstood it. There are blessings in your life you didn't pray for because you didn't know you needed them. There are dangers you walked past without noticing because God shielded you from things that never reached your eyes. His goodness operates in silence more than it does in noise. And those silent protections are just as real as the blessings you celebrate. Life may throw storms at you, but storms don't cancel God's presence. Storms reveal it. When the waves rise, He becomes your anchor. When the winds blow, He becomes your shelter. When the path gets dark, He becomes your light. The goodness of God doesn't remove storms, but it guarantees you won't face them alone. Every disappointment, every delay, every moment of uncertainty is still wrapped in His goodness. You may not understand the purpose yet, but God doesn't allow pain without planting a promise somewhere inside it. What you think is breaking you is actually shaping you into someone who can handle bigger blessings with deeper gratitude. And even when life is painful, God remains the same good Father, consistent, present, guiding, protecting, and preparing something that will make your current confusion one day turn into clarity. Disappointment hits hard because it interrupts what you hoped for. It ruins the picture you painted in your mind. It shakes your expectations and forces you to face a reality you didn't want. But disappointment is not the end of your story. It's a redirect, not a finish line. Something didn't work out, but that doesn't mean nothing will. Sometimes God blocks something because it would have held you back. You don't see what He sees. You don't hear conversations behind your back. You don't know the motives of every person. You can't see the danger in every opportunity. So when God shuts a door, it's often because He's saving you from walking into something that looked good, but wasn't good for your future. Disappointment teaches you to trust beyond your understanding. When your plans collapse, you learn to rely on God's plan. When your expectations fail, you learn that God's expectations for you are higher than your own. The job that didn't work out could have limited you. The relationship that ended could have drained you. The opportunity that fell through could have been a trap dressed as a blessing. Every disappointment carries a hidden form of protection. It might take time to see it, but eventually the reason becomes clear. You look back later and realize that what you cried about was actually God clearing space for something better. You realize that what looked like a loss was actually a setup for a bigger gain. Disappointment also builds resilience. It teaches you how to stand up after falling. It shows you that you can survive moments you thought would destroy you. It develops emotional and spiritual muscle. It trains you to trust God beyond your feelings. And it stretches your character in ways success never could. You're going to face many disappointments in life, but each one is a step, not a stop. A detour, not defeat. A redirection, not rejection. God doesn't waste your tears. He doesn't waste your effort. And He never blocks something without planning something better. So instead of seeing disappointment as the end, see it as an invitation to step into something aligned with your purpose, not just your preference. Patience is one of the hardest things to develop because it goes against everything inside you that wants progress now. You want answers now. You want growth now. You want change now. But God's timing doesn't bend to your urgency. He works according to purpose, not pressure. And when you choose patience, you're choosing trust. Patience doesn't mean sitting around doing nothing. It means doing everything you can while trusting God with the parts you can't control. It's maintaining discipline even when results are slow. It's showing up even when life gives you reasons to walk away. Patience is active. It's intentional. It's mature. The waiting season often feels like the hardest season because it's silent. You don't see the progress. You don't feel the shift. You don't get updates on what's happening. But behind the scenes, God is connecting dots you don't even know exist. He's preparing things you didn't even pray for yet. He's aligning situations that will make sense later. Impatience makes people settle. Impatience pushes people into the wrong relationships, the wrong choices, the wrong timing. Impatience leads to shortcuts that cost more later. But patience protects you. It keeps you from accepting less than what God intended for you. It keeps you grounded while God prepares the blessing. When you wait with patience, you're telling God, I trust you more than I trust my own rush. That trust is what opens doors that force and pressure could never open. That trust is what allows God to elevate you at the right time, not just an available time. Timing matters. A blessing in the wrong season can feel like a burden. Patience also proves maturity. It shows you're willing to build, not just receive. It shows you're willing to grow, not just grab. It shows you're willing to follow God's pace, not just your emotions. And that maturity is what strengthens your character for everything that's coming. Every time you choose patience over panic, you're choosing faith over fear. And that choice is what positions you for the kind of blessings that last, not the kind that only look good temporarily. Faith feels powerful when you're energized. When life is cooperating, when you feel strong, when you feel motivated, faith is easy to maintain. But real faith shows up when you're exhausted. Real faith shows up when you've done everything you can and you still haven't seen the breakthrough. Real faith is believing while tired. There are days when you don't feel like praying, days when you don't feel like trying, days when your mind is overwhelmed and your heart is heavy. But faith isn't about emotion. Faith is a decision. It's choosing to believe even when doubt screams louder than hope. It's choosing to trust even when nothing around you suggests progress. Your tired moments are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you've been fighting for a long time. And yet, even with that exhaustion, something inside you keeps pushing. That something is faith. It's the quiet strength that refuses to let you quit. It's the whisper inside you that says, keep going, God's not done yet. Faith doesn't remove fatigue, but it gives you endurance. It helps you stand when everything inside you wants to sit down. It helps you continue when quitting seems like the easier option. Faith reminds you that God can do what you cannot. It pushes you forward even with shaky steps. There will be moments in life where faith is the only thing holding you together. When plans fall apart, when your heart feels heavy, when the future looks unclear, faith becomes the anchor that keeps you from drifting into fear. It gives you hope when everything else around you feels uncertain. Your faith doesn't have to be perfect to work. It just has to be present. God doesn't expect flawless faith. He expects genuine faith. Faith that gets tired but keeps standing. Faith that doubts but keeps believing. Faith that cries but keeps moving. Faith that breaks but refuses to let go. And the truth is, some of the biggest blessings in your life will come after seasons where you almost gave up. Because faith isn't the absence of struggle, it's the strength to keep going through it. Sometimes you forget how strong you really are. You've survived heartbreaks that should have broken you. You've come through storms that made you question your sanity. You've walked through valleys you didn't think you would ever come out of. Yet here you are, still standing. You're not just surviving, you're evolving. When you look back over your life, you'll realize you made it through things you never imagined yourself overcoming. You handled situations that looked impossible. You survived moments where you wanted to quit. That's not luck. That's strength. That's resilience. That's God carrying you when your legs couldn't move anymore. You may not give yourself enough credit for everything you've overcome. You downplay your progress. You minimize your strength. But the truth is, you've been fighting battles that no one even knows about, and you made it through every one of them. That alone makes you stronger than you realize. Every challenge you faced shaped you in ways you didn't see at the time. It developed patience. It developed awareness. It developed wisdom. It sharpened your perspective. It made you more compassionate, more grounded, more grateful. What you survive has become part of the foundation of who you are. You need to remind yourself that you have a perfect record. You've survived 100% of your worst days. Even the days that tried to break you didn't win. Even the moments where you felt lost didn't hold you forever. You pushed through pain, confusion, fear, and doubt, and you're still pushing today. Life may be hard, but you're harder. You've proven that over and over without even realizing it. You've been knocked down, but every time you got up again, you became stronger. You've been disappointed, but you still hope. You've been hurt, but you still love. You've been stressed, but you still show up. And if you've survived everything behind you, there is no reason to believe you won't survive what's ahead. Loss changes you. It leaves empty spaces, unanswered questions, and wounds that take time to heal. You try to move on, but sometimes the weight of what you lost follows you into your future. But the promise of God is restoration, not just replacement, but restoration. Restoration means He brings back what was taken in a better form than before. You may think too much time has passed. You may believe you missed your moment. You may feel like what you lost can never return. But God is not limited by time. He doesn't operate under deadlines. What you think is gone forever can be rebuilt stronger than before when God is behind it. Sometimes God allows loss to make room for something greater. Sometimes He removes what can't go with you into your next season. Sometimes He breaks something temporarily so He can rebuild it properly. What feels like destruction is often preparation for something far better. Restoration doesn't always come the way you expect. It might come through new opportunities, new relationships, new levels of maturity, or new blessings you didn't even see coming. Sometimes God restores you internally, your peace, your confidence, your joy, before He restores anything externally. Loss may have hurt you, but it didn't end you. You're still here, which means God still has a plan, and His plan includes restoration. He doesn't allow something to be taken without preparing something to be returned. What feels empty now will one day be a testimony of recovery and renewal. Restoration takes time, but when it arrives overflowing. God doesn't return blessings in the same condition. They come back multiplied. They come back healed. They come back strengthened. They come back tailored to who you've become, not who you used to be. And when God restores, He restores in a way that makes the pain of the loss worth the testimony of what came afterward. Growth requires letting go of who you used to be. The version of you that fit your past cannot fit your future. You can't step into a new season with old habits, old insecurities, old fears, or old patterns that held you back before. Every new level of your life demands a new level of you. You have to outgrow the excuses that kept you stuck. You have to outgrow the environments that kept you small. You have to outgrow the people who didn't support your growth. Growth is uncomfortable because it requires shedding parts of yourself that once felt familiar but are no longer beneficial. Some people won't understand your growth. They'll question why you changed, why you're distant, why you don't entertain the same conversations, why you don't tolerate the same negativity. But your transformation is not their responsibility. You're not evolving for them. You're evolving for your purpose. God will stretch you in ways that force you to release the version of you that settles. He will push you into seasons that demand confidence, discipline, and maturity. And the version of you that lived in fear can't survive where faith is required. The version of you that doubted can't rise where boldness is needed. Outgrowing yourself doesn't mean you were wrong before. It means you're ready now. Ready to think bigger. Ready to love yourself deeper. Ready to move with intention. Ready to walk in your calling without apology. Growth is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you were meant to be all along. There will be moments when growth feels lonely because not everyone is meant to follow you into your next level. Some connections were made for your past, not your future. Some relationships were meant to be lessons, not lifetimes. You must release what cannot grow with you. And as you outgrow the old version of yourself, you step into a stronger, wiser, more focused version that God has been shaping through every struggle, every lesson, and every breakthrough. Elevation requires separation. As you rise, not everyone will rise with you. Some people were only meant for a chapter of your story, not the entire book. Some people helped you grow, but now they limit you. Some connections supported your past self, but stand in the way of your future self. It can be painful to let people go, especially when you've shared history. But history doesn't guarantee destiny. Just because someone walked with you in one season doesn't mean they're meant to walk with you in the next. God removes people for your protection, even when the separation feels uncomfortable. When God is preparing you for greater, He starts pruning. He removes distractions. He exposes hidden motives. He distances you from environments that drain your potential. And sometimes, He even allows people to walk away so that you can walk forward. Not everyone is equipped to handle the weight of your calling. Some people can't go where God is taking you because their mindset is too small for your next level. Their negativity would poison your growth. Their doubt would weaken your faith. Their habits would pull you backward. God knows who contributes to your destiny and who delays it. Separation is emotional, but it's necessary. It creates space for the right people, people who encourage your growth, support your purpose, challenge you to elevate, and align with the future God is building for you. Letting go is not losing. It's repositioning. As you rise, you'll notice some people distance themselves. That's part of the process. Don't chase what God is removing. Don't cling to what God is changing. Don't fight to keep what was only meant to be temporary. And once you embrace the separation, you'll realize it wasn't rejection, it was preparation. God is protecting your path by clearing away what cannot follow you into your promise. You've been working when no one notices. You've been building when no one supports you. You've been showing up even when results were slow. You've been consistent without applause. That kind of effort does not go unseen. It is impossible for hard work to remain unrewarded forever. You may feel overlooked, but God hasn't overlooked you. He sees every seed you've planted. He sees every sacrifice you've made. He sees every night you stayed up trying to better yourself. And the seeds you've been planting in private are going to produce a harvest in public. People often quit right before the breakthrough, not because they lack ability, but because the results don't show up fast enough. But success takes time. Growth takes discipline. Breakthrough takes consistency. Everything you're doing is adding up, even if you can't see it yet. Your effort is building momentum behind the scenes. You don't see the progress because progress often happens quietly. But one day, all the small steps will come together and create a leap. One day, the results will show up suddenly, even though the work was slow and steady. Don't compare your journey to others. Some people get quick results, but quick results don't always last. What you're building has a foundation. It has depth. It has discipline behind it. That's why it will last when others fade away. Your effort is not wasted, it's being multiplied. People may underestimate you, but they don't know the hours you've put in. They don't know the battles you've fought. They don't know the strength you're developing in silence. Effort grows character. Effort builds identity. Effort prepares you for what you've been praying for. And when the moment finally arrives, you'll realize every struggle, every late night, every sacrifice, and every small step was worth it, because your effort will show results that exceed the work you put in. The hardest part of the journey is often right before the breakthrough. It's when everything feels heavy. It's when you feel tired, discouraged, and mentally drained. Pressure intensifies right before the blessing arrives. That pressure is not a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're close. You've been working, praying, believing, and pushing, yet sometimes it feels like nothing is changing. But the truth is things are shifting even when you can't see the movement. Beneath the surface, pieces are aligning. Behind the scenes, opportunities are forming. You're closer than your feelings suggest. Doubt gets loud when destiny gets near. Fear tries to distract you right before the reward shows up. The enemy fights hardest when he knows you're about to reach something significant. That resistance is proof that something big is on the way. You don't always get warnings for breakthroughs. Sometimes they arrive suddenly, one call, one opportunity, one conversation, one moment that changes everything. That's why you can't give up now. You didn't come this far to stop right before the finish line. Your breakthrough may not look the way you expect, but it's coming. It might come through an unexpected person, an unexpected situation, or an unexpected route. God specializes in surprising you. The blessing often arrives from a direction you weren't even watching. Even if the journey feels long, you're closer today than you were yesterday. You're stronger today than you were last season. You're wiser, more resilient, more prepared. Everything you've gone through has positioned you for this moment. And the truth is, most people quit when they are inches away from the breakthrough. But if you keep going, if you keep trusting, if you keep showing up, what's coming will prove that every step was worth it. There will be times when you feel trapped, times when every option seems blocked, times when you don't know what to do next. But those are the exact moments when God steps in and shows you that He is the God of impossible solutions. He doesn't need perfect circumstances to work. He creates paths where none existed. You'll face situations that look hopeless, but what looks impossible to you is easy for God. He can open doors without permission. He can move mountains without warning. He can change outcomes without explanation. He doesn't require approval from anyone to bless you. When you reach the end of your own strength, that's when God's strength begins to show. When you've tried every idea you have and nothing works, that's when God introduces ideas you never imagined. When you feel powerless, God proves that He never was. God has a history of making a way out of no way. He parts seas, moves obstacles, opens impossible opportunities, and brings solutions from unexpected places. What you think is a dead end is often the setup for divine intervention. Sometimes God blocks your plans because they were too small. Sometimes He delays your breakthrough because the timing wasn't ready. Sometimes He removes resources so He can show you it wasn't the resources that would save you, it was Him. He wants you to see His power clearly. When God makes a way, it won't make sense to anyone, including you. That's how you know it wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It wasn't something you forced. It was God showing His hands in your life in a way that you cannot deny. And when the way appears, you'll understand why every detour, every setback, and every delay was necessary for the miracle He planned. Life will challenge you in ways you never expected. It will test your patience, your faith, your strength, and your resilience. It will hand you moments that shake your spirit and stretch your endurance. But even when life hits hard, God's goodness remains unshakable. There will be days where you feel drained, moments where you feel lost, and seasons where everything feels heavy. But God remains your constant source of strength. His goodness holds you together when life tries to tear you apart. His goodness provides peace in chaos and hope in confusion. Life may bring uncertainty, but God brings stability. Life may bring storms, but God brings shelter. Life may bring loss, but God brings restoration. His goodness is not dependent on your circumstances. It's rooted in who He is, not what you experience. Your hardest days do not define God's character. Your unanswered prayers do not define His intentions. Your challenges do not cancel His promises. Even when life feels unfair, God is working in the background, turning everything toward your good in ways you don't yet understand. Pain does not remove God's goodness. Struggle does not weaken it. Delays do not diminish it. God's goodness is the anchor that keeps you stable when everything around you feels unstable. It's the reason you haven't given up, even after everything you've faced. Life will continue to bring highs and lows, wins and losses, joy and pain. But through all of it, God stays the same, faithful, present, loving, and good. His goodness is the foundation that holds you steady through every season. And no matter how hard life becomes, God's goodness will always give you the strength to keep going, keep trusting, keep believing, and keep rising.